Hello, guys, and welcome back to hopefully the final part of the quickie reading on Chris's health. Now we're moving on to mental health. And as you can see right there, as the caption says, Christian Weston Chandler is not a very healthy individual in any sense of the word. As noted, Chris has a hostile relationship with psychotherapy. So there is little that can be said about what mental illnesses he has, because autism isn't nearly enough to explain the full spectrum of his abject psyche. Many observers have tried to pin down Chris for a variety of mental illnesses, ranging from sociopathy, minus the increase in charisma, to narcissism, ditto, to schizophrenia, signs that include his disorganized speech and writing, loss of contact with reality, and paranoid ideas about being the victim of persecution or conspiracy, such as his delusional belief that Megan Schroeder and Michael Snyder were somehow responsible for him getting banned from Walmart. Which I think that wasn't that also like I think something that his parents taught him? Because I mean that's what he said at least. Like he said, like his parents were trying to tell him, "Oh, Megan's the real culprit," and all this is just fucking stupid. The one mental failing that debilitates Chris most is his rigid refusal to adapt to his environment. The stubbornness, more than anything else, is what makes him so frustrating to watch. He's incapable of advancing mentally beyond the mind of a 10-year-old with some Playboy magazine stuffed under his mattress. Whatever mental problems he may have are only exacerbated by his stubborn inability to mature and even alter his tactics. Well over a decade, he has been led on by various trolls pretending to be young white women who are interested in a relationship with him. Yeah, they have to be white specifically because Chris does not want to date a black woman for some reason that I can't and will not probably even get into unless I have to read it for this because he's a fucking weird creature. And yet he continually falls for it. It is Chris's refusal to listen or learn that ensures that he will continue to live in ignorance, isolation, and misery. And until he decides to change, it always will, irrespective of whatever his trolls stay interested in him. It was once thought possible that Chris didn't feel like his life had truly begun and that he was still in the pre-adult years because he remained a virgin until into his early 30s. And judging by his oversimplified black and white view of the world tainted by fiction and media messages, treatment of women, and stunted understanding of sexual relationships because he saw sex not as a biological or recreational function or as an expression of love, but rather as a rite of passage of sorts. And he therefore believed that he wasn't able to truly be an adult until he had sex. Chris later would lose his virginity for real, albeit to a hooker. As of yet, he has made few to no changes that would tangibly improve his life. In fact, he has been plunging himself and his mother even further into debt to buy toys of all things, as well as a new car. Needless to say, no one expects Chris or Barb to be able to afford to keep the car for long. Since Chris has been pampered and sheltered from basically all forms of outside influence, he lacks experience with the real world. His reaction to the real world can best be seen in his reaction to trolls. Instead of dealing with them in a constructive way, taking their advice, or even in a neutral way, either ignoring them or getting off the internet, he will freak out, yell at things, blame his autism or the trolls themselves for shortcomings, and maybe crush a dildo or his camera. He also has a peculiar notion that he is slim, broad-shouldered, and tanned, and that he has a full head of hair and is genuinely not creepy. The image comes from two things. His mother would always tell him how handsome he was. This might simply be Barbara telling her son what all mothers tell their kids. He has an inability to recognize people's faces. For example, during the Blanca incident, trolls used pictures of two different girls to represent Blanca, and he never suspected a thing. He thinks that he and Billy Mays would have looked the same if Billy shaved off his beard. In high school, he had to remember his own appearance by staring in the mirror, leaving his more youthful image of himself branded in his mind. The fact that the only distinguishing features of his cartoon characters are hair and eye color also point to this. Although this may just be Chris being a shitty artist, which he is, like he draws the Sonichu characters, like the actual Sonichu's okay. But when he has to draw humans or animals, it always looks like garbage. Like everything else looks like garbage when he draws. And I'm not an artist either, but I don't try to draw because I'm shit at it. But like he genuinely thinks he's a good artist, which is fucking stupid. Some people think that far from being mentally ill, Chris is just misguided and simply needs to be steered in the right direction. However, in the July 2012 arraignment for his and Barbara's actions at the game place the previous fall, Chris agreed to a plea bargain, avoiding felony charges and jail time in exchange for, among other things, mandatory psychological treatment and evaluation, which clearly didn't work, which meant that Chris was forced to undergo legitimate psychiatric treatment as opposed to simply seeing an uncertified pastoral counselor or risk being imprisoned. Given that most, if not all, of the problems described above persist in some form or another to this day, it seems that Chris reacted to psychiatric treatment in much the same way he reacted to the education system. It seems that whatever the psychiatrist said, he took none of it in, probably taking out his anger at being forced to obey the law on the psychiatrist by simply refusing to cooperate. Chris began listening to subliminal frequency hypnosis videos on YouTube in 2016. On the 29th of July, he uploaded announcement 0629200162, in which he claimed that the music cured his autism. Hey fans, I forgot one thing to mention. I've actually been on a subliminal project, as a lot of you, or some of you might have been aware of through my history or whatever, that I try to keep private amongst my YouTube settings. But I have been enjoying for the past 3 months the Get Rid of Autism Subliminal, the one that actually works in 3 months, so less than the 3 times per day, 36 times. I've been doing that. I've actually found myself more mentally capable. I do not blank out as much. I feel a little bit faster in mental processing, and I feel a whole lot better. So with that, puts out hands. I'm essentially cured of autism. Oh, and also I've actually been able to socialize better out in public. So that's another good deal right there. I'm going to put the link underneath this video. And those y'all with autism, try for yourself. 3, play it 3 times per day for 3 months. Once to hit. It worked for me. However, in a November Facebook post, he was back to referring himself as a high-functioning autistic person. Chris mentioned in August of 2017 that he takes Valium, a drug used to treat anxiety and nervousness. I took a rest and some Valium after I got home. I feel some recovered, but feel some mild headache now. Chris on taking the drug after feeling stressed for being told to not wear his unicorn cosplay at church, which is not something normal people do. Sexual health. Bent at a horrifying 45-degree angle, Chris's duck is a thing of almost unholy terror. While there has been much speculation as to the cause of this, probably Peyronie's disease, I've never heard of that, or the result of engaging in dangerous prone masturbation, it is ultimately a mystery that will probably never be solved. While correctable, the process is expensive, and Chris has other more important things in which to spend his or rather the taxpayers' money on. In correspondence with Jackie, Chris revealed that he was checked for STDs in early 2010. He didn't have any, and you can probably guess why. Gender transitioning, okay, so we're almost done here. Gender transitioning, hormone treatment. Normally, transgender people plan out their gender transitions with doctors to ensure safety throughout the process, especially if they're taking hormones, which can cause health issues unless strictly monitored according to the patient's profile. Unfortunately, Chris had done the exact opposite, because of course he fucking did. In 2015, he acquired estrogel, a hormone replacement therapy cream meant for post-menopausal women. It is meant to be prescription only, but Chris got around the requirement to see a doctor by ordering it through offshore pharmacy. Estrogel has health risks, such as fluid retention, weird weight changes, rise in blood pressure, disastrous for an obese person like Chris, and blood clots. And that is when it is applied properly via a small dosage on the arm once per day. He even managed to fail at following the directions of the package, as shown in Ostrogel application in Vibrating Bra How To, in which he slathers the cream on his stomach like buttering bread. Kim Wilson revealed that he was taking the hormones in May of 2015, and Chris mentioned the drug as late as August 2016. Throughout 2015 through 2016, he repeatedly complained via Facebook posts of feeling dizzy and ill, but has failed to connect the dots and seeing that taking overdoses of a black market drug without physician's approval could be a real reason for it. In addition to estrogel, Chris has also taken supplements such as vitamins. He purchased a jar of Solare feminine hormone blend vitamins in August of 2016, which is meant to ease menopausal symptoms. Author Spatchcock had also learned that around May 2016, Chris was fond of eating fungu Greek seeds because he believed it would increase his estrogen levels, being unaware that it would have no effect on him since he is not on estrogen. At some point in the fall of 2016, he finally went to a medical professional and was prescribed proper HRT. Unclit. Oh, God, I am not going to like talking about these. Good Lord. But I have to. Yay. One day in September of 2014, Chris decided to get a piercing on his perineum. Piercings require constant disinfection while they heal anywhere on the body, even for very clean people. And so many trolls were concerned that considering Chris's general filthiness and the fact that the location of the piercing would receive very little air, that he was in serious risk of infection. In December, he shared another picture of his piercing, which showed that while it wasn't infected, the piercing had begun to reject, tearing the skin in the process. Oh, God, it's gross. Making lemonade out of lemons, Chris, now in the throes of his trans woman fantasy, noted that the pride with pride that tears resemblance to a vagina and actually got it re-pierced without giving the original wound any longer than about a week to heal. Fortunately, Chris gave up on it after becoming clear that the piercing was going to be more of a hassle than it was worth and removed it for good before any serious harm was done. Self-inflicted wound, and for the record, I'm not reading the main article. I don't care. I'll read this little summary here, but I'm not going to read the full article. It sounds disgusting, and I want nothing to do with it. In July of 2016, Chris posted about a wound on his taint. According to it, he had gotten, as a result of his subliminal frequency hypnosis, it would be growing a new labia as well. However, as the man in the pickle suit later discovered, Chris actually went ahead and sliced himself open with a knife in order to free the vagina he thought was growing out of him. Just the thought of that is fucking crazy. So Chris was feeling up his junk, and he felt something growing in. He believed his labia were growing in. He knew logically that he probably should let him erupt on its own before cutting himself open. It's crazy, and he would probably get in trouble. But one night he was drunk and was sad when somebody pointed out that he didn't have an actual vagina, so he thought he'd help it along. In the morning, he was very embarrassed and sheepish about it. Chris is fucking lucky he posted about it online and got pestered about it into getting help by Weens. Because if he hadn't, he'd probably end up in the hospital fighting off a potentially lethal infection. So technically speaking, in Chris's logic, it was indeed a wound, but his vagina was going to come out and the wound would heal and everything would be all right. It's kind of like he was Brundle Woman. I don't know who the fuck that is or what that's about. And he was pulling off his old ear and face and shit. And the beautiful Pam Anderson Christine would be underneath. Rejected by a blood bank. Oh, that part was over. Rejected by a blood bank. In January 2017, Chris complained on Facebook that he had been turned away from a blood drive for being transgender. He stated that the given reason was the FDA did not accept blood from transgender people due to the varying levels of testosterone and estrogen balances in our blood. Chris did not realize how medically sensitive patients will be when recovering blood transfusions, and that it would not be in their interest to be taking blood with hormonal imbalances, especially from Chris, whose blood has been affected by both his unhealthy lifestyle and his dangerous intake of an unsupervised estrogel drug. Other deformities. Chris also has mild heterochromia, which I think is kind of a cool thing to have two colored eyes. I think that's cool, which he claims is a result of a pink eye medicine that he took in high school. However, in a photo of young Chris, his right eye is green. He probably tells this story so people think he's special. My left eye is blue, and my right eye is brown. My right eye is green. You can't even tell because of his stupid camera. Some have pointed out that Chris has an unusually wide septum. As seen in his MySpace picture. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Others go as far as to say he lacks one altogether. The cause of this, like his bent duck, is as yet unknown. I have no idea what a septum is, and I don't care. So that is it. That is the Chris Chan and Health Wiki, and it was a very, very fascinating ride with much more detail about Chris's genital things than I would have cared to know, but I read it anyway, and now I know a lot about it. So if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, as I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month or year, whichever comes first. Oh, and be sure to watch my other videos as well. So be sure to stay beautiful, because I most certainly will not be doing that for you, and I need to take a shower after reading some of this, and I hope that you all are not traumatized. Have fun.